Open Your Eyes is brought to you by SMART, bringing people together, and the Belize Bank, our country, your bank.
Good morning and welcome to Open Your Eyes.
Start your morning right.
I'm Sabrina Daly.
And I'm Isani Caetano. Good morning.
And good morning, Isani.
Muy buenos dias.
How are you doing?
I'm good. I can't complain.
All right. It is a beautiful Wednesday morning.
Indeed
and I am feeling a little bit better, thankfully. I know yesterday I struggled through a little bit because of the flu, but I'm happy to be here nonetheless. And I'm happy to be here with you guys, also starting your morning bright and early with us. Every morning, Isani, when I head here to the morning show, I always observe the life that is taking place so early in the morning, whether it be the birds very early, watching the sun come up, but also people, whether walking, riding, or going to work just as early as we are. It always gives me a sense of pride knowing that we tend to rise with the sun and get our morning started very early.
Waking up this morning, it wasn't hot last night, so it was fairly cool waking up this morning. And as you mentioned, I mean, you know, watching the sunrise, I mean, it's one of those feelings, right?
Yeah.
I wish I had more time to just, you know, sit there and experience it this morning, but you know, work has to be done.
Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
I guess in this case, I get to enjoy a bit of that sunrise because I'm driving for quite a distance. And because of that, of course, I can pay attention to the road, but there's not too much traffic. So because of that, I can enjoy a bit of the picturesque scenes in some cases. When it's not raining, when it's beautiful like today, I know a lot of people that are also out on the road this early, they get to enjoy it too. But we want to jump straight into our What's Buzzing conversations. We have quite a few topics to discuss, so let's jump into that now. All right, starting things off first, I know this did not make it in the news last night, but it was certainly trending online, and that is the identification of a new hammerhead species. Yes, that was also named after a philanthropist.
Yes, so the co-founder of Microsoft, the late Paul Allen, dedicated much of his life to not only philanthropy, but to conservation. And in the science community, researchers or biologists were working closely with Belizean fishermen in identifying what they initially thought was an elusive species of shark. They were confusing what is now known as the shovelhead shark with the bonnethead shark, which is a species of hammerhead, right? And so they were saying this species, which is found in the waters between Belize and Brazil, was pretty much hiding in plain sight.
Yeah.
And so the discovery was made off the coast of Belize fairly recently, and it was named in part using Paul Allen's name, right? So in science, in biology particularly, there is what is called a two-name system, binomial nomenclature it's called, right? Where you have two names being given to a particular species. So in this case, it's called Sphaerna allenis, right? Allen being the prefix, right? The suffix, right? But long and short, it's a good look for Belize. We're on the map where it comes to biology, conservation, environment, and all
even
of these
research
things, right? Yes. And so we do have scientists who are actively, looking at our flora and our fauna, our marine life, to see if, there are any new species to be discovered here. And so, since this discovery was announced, a number of publications have picked it up. Forbes magazine has taken it on, and several other publications have, not only because, well, how do I say this? Primarily because it's Paul Allen, the fish was named after, right? But it's also found in Belize.
Yeah.
The discovery was made here. And so it's one of those kind of a win-win situation where we get a good look, and so, his name also carries on.
Absolutely. Isani, whenever there's a new discovery underwater, I always go back to the thought of, I can't imagine how many other species we don't even know that exists. When we think of what our world is made of, 70% of the world is water itself. And the fact that there's only some discoveries, some of the species, I think probably a small percentage of what actually exists underwater. I respect the ocean. So much so that I don't even travel on water that much, because there's so many things to discover.
Yeah.
Of course, in this case, I have to say kudos to the researchers. I, of course, and I think I speak for every other Belizean, carry that pride whenever our name can be placed on publications like this. I know that there are a lot of tourists and researchers that come to Belize simply because of our marine wildlife, to experience our waters, and seeing our names placed on publications like this, I think, encourages even more persons to come and explore the underwater diversity that we have.
You mentioned something earlier that I found to be interesting, when you're saying that the thousands of species of plant life and animal life that can be found on planet Earth. Take that into perspective to say, look, as one species goes extinct, we're still finding
more
new species.
Absolutely. And I mean, there are so many species that probably are hiding in plain sight, that have maybe lived far beyond these species that are going extinct now. But of course, that could be because of excessive hunting of these particular species as well. But I go right back to it. I have respect for the unknown. I don't want to dive into that rabbit hole as well, because there can be so many other conversations that come out of underwater, things that we were told as kids that exist. I remember a story that I did, I think it was like 2 years ago, on April 1st, saying that there were some fishermen out at sea that spotted a mermaid. And I never really said if it was true or not. It was shared with our viewers on April 1st, but there are so many other people who have said that they had encounters with different marine species that we would have never seen or even heard of. Maybe heard of, but have never seen. As I go back to my point, I'm just appreciative that in this case we can be set aside with something as positive as this. And I know that we have even more persons who would like to visit Belize simply because of our marine wildlife.
Yeah. So again, that's one of the trending conversations, and this one, as we've mentioned, involves Belize and the late founder of Microsoft.
Also involving Belize, and also that made the news last night, was the announcement that well-known Belizean basketball player, a youthful figure in the scene of athletics right now, Douglas Langford Jr., has committed to Harvard University as his choice of university. Now, this is a process that I think Douglas has been posting on his social media for some months now, visiting different universities, different Ivy League universities at that. But he has made the announcement as of yesterday that he has committed to this. Now, we want to say, of course, a huge congratulations to Douglas and his family. This kid is obviously talented. He obviously has a long way to go. We are told that he has his eyes set on joining the NBA at some point in his future as well.
So we've discussed at length his athletic prowess. We can't discount that. I guess that's in part what gets him to where he's going. But I think my focus and what interests me the most is the fact that he's a 4.0 student and he was being scouted by Yale and Harvard, and he made a choice to go with Harvard. Now, for many of us, that's a distant dream, right? Simply because while we may be very, very, very brilliant in academic life, when you look at enrolling to an Ivy League school is not a walk in the park, you know. The value of his scholarship is in the area of $700,000, right? So that's not you know, anything you could scoff at. I'm looking ahead for this young man, simply to say that basketball may not necessarily be the future, to say that anything can happen with an athlete. We know this, right? Something could probably happen and, you know, kind of hinder the accomplishment of that dream. But with a sound education from Harvard, you know, you're automatically marketable for any position that you qualify for. Automatically. And that's what I look at, you know, to say that once he's successful in completing his academic courses there, you have that diploma, you're good as gold. You know, the basketball career is what he's pursuing actively, but if that doesn't pan out, he always has that Ivy League diploma to show.
And that's something that he expressed to our colleague Paul Lopez when he gave us an interview yesterday virtually. Of course, he is passionate about his athletic opportunities, but I think he also equally cares about his education, and probably kudos to his parents as well, because that is something that I think that probably had some involvement in his decision. You know, Isani, what really dawned on me when listening to the story was how amazing his journey has been in such a short time frame. Douglas Langford Jr. would have only moved to the United States about 3 years ago.
3 years ago, yes.
And he has been able to accomplish so much and put his name out there in such a short space of time that for a lot of people, they spend their entire lives hoping to achieve. You know, we have a lot of well-known and talented basketball players here in Belize who I can only imagine would have dreamed to experience the things that he has. We know that Douglas has represented Belize multiple times over the past few years. Most recently, he was in Argentina with the Belize team. And he even played beside heavy hitters like LeBron James's son, just I believe last year or early this year. So he has definitely been able to show his skill set in the past few years, and I'm hoping that we're able to see him flourish even more.
What is also important to discuss or touch on here is that he's set to play for NCAA Division I, and that's where a lot of talent, young talent from across the United States, once they get into college, that's where they shine, and that's where the actual recruitment process for the NBA begins, right? And so once he's successful in making a name for himself, now this kid is being scouted from all over in terms of his talent, but once he's able to shine on that level, then that makes it all the more likely that he would be scouted by a team for the NBA. So, man, I think of Douglas Langford Jr. and the potential, and I recall when all this noise was also being made about Milton Palacio, perhaps a decade or two ago, where he also shone a light on Belize as a talented athlete and his academic and his sports pursuits.
I think what you also mentioned there was the fact that both of these athletes are shining a light on Belize. One thing that you see on Douglas is the fact that he ensures that he mentions Belize as much as possible, even on his social media, where I see most of his activity and what he's up to. He ensures that he speaks about Belize, that he shows the flag. Even in our interview, you can tell that he wants to represent Belize more than anything. And I think it also goes back to the fact that he's only been in the United States for just about 3 years. So this is a kid that's Belizean to the bone.
Yeah.
He comes back to Belize regularly. He talks about being from Dangriga, his family from Dangriga. So we're really excited about the fact that he will be representing us more than, I'd say, the United States in this instance. All right, well, we do have one more topic, and this one was particularly, I think, intriguing for me. I saw it online yesterday and also shared in our newscast last night. There was a special birthday shout out that was announced yesterday, and that was for a centenarian, Mr. Bertie, who celebrated 108 years on this earth. Isani, imagine living that long.
I don't know that I want to become 108 years
I was
old.
actually saying the same thing last night. I was saying, you know
Respect
what?
to that.
I don't know if I want to be around that long. I don't think I need to be seeing y'all that long. But this is Gilbert
It's quite
Bertie
an accomplishment, though.
Ellis, and he celebrated 108 years yesterday. Of course, whenever we have persons who reach a milestone of such, we tend to visit them and ask them a few questions. Of course, what was it like as far back as you can remember? What are things that you do now? How is your health? And in this case, Mr. Bertie lives on his own on Nursey Street here in Belize City. He mentions that his daughters would come and visit him every day. They take turns to visit him. But this is a very independent, seemingly man where he does pretty much everything for himself.
So, two things that we need to touch on quickly with Mr. Bertie is the fact that he was recently recognized by the government of Belize as part of the September celebrations honors, right? So that's one. And two, he has a storied history in sports.
Yes.
In cricket and other disciplines.
Yeah, he said he played everything.
And so I think that's something to talk about. It's commendable that one, he's being recognized while he's still alive, and two, while the development of sports in this country is still very much fledgling, he would have made his contributions to the history and the sports in Belize.
Yes. Wonderful. Well, we want to say a huge congratulations and well wishes to Mr. Bertie. I know that 108 years is quite a milestone. A lot of us don't get to experience that. The average lifespan for an individual in this time is probably around 70 years old. So to be living pretty much 30 years over that is really speaks wonders. So all the best to him. And that does it for our What's Buzzing. We are going to go jump straight into our weather update now from the folks at the Met Service.
Good morning. Generally, fair weather will prevail and support sunny skies with a few cloudy spells today and partly cloudy skies tonight. Showers or thunderstorms will be isolated. Isolated showers or thunderstorms will continue Thursday, and then a few more will affect southern areas Thursday night. Winds today along the coast and over the open seas will blow from the west and southwest at 10 to 20 knots, and seas will be moderate. Low tides will occur at 11:23 this morning and 9:41 tonight. High tides follow at 5:59 this evening and 4:30 tomorrow morning. Temperatures this afternoon will peak at 80 Fahrenheit up in the Maya Mountains, 89 along the coast, and 93 inland. The moon will set at 1:19 this afternoon, followed by sunset at 5:45. In the sargassum forecast, no significant increase in sargassum is expected over the area during the next few days. And in the tropical weather update, at 3 o'clock this morning, Tropical Storm Helene was situated near 20.7 north, 86.2 west, or about 45 miles east-northeast of Cozumel, Mexico. The system was moving northwest at 9 miles per hour with maximum sustained winds of 65 miles per hour. A broad area of low pressure associated with a tropical wave west of the Cabo Verde Islands continues to show medium chance of becoming a tropical cyclone during the next 48 hours. And that's the latest from the Belize Weather Bureau. Do have a pleasant day.
All right, there you have it, your official update from the folks at the Met Service. We are going to continue the discussion on weather in our first segment, where we will be joined by the Chief Meteorologist, Ronald Gordon, and he'll be talking to us about the balance of the hurricane season and also what to expect.
Our second conversation this morning is with a UNICEF youth advocate who will be talking to us about advocacy among young men and women.
All right, and in our third conversation, we will be highlighting, we'll be joined by the Belize track and field team, who will be traveling to Mexico to compete.
And our fourth and final conversation this morning will be with the Interoffice Basketball Allstar League.
All right, well, we got to take our first break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by Chief Ronald Gordon, who'll be talking to us about the hurricane season and much more. Stay with us, we'll be right back.
I'm connected. Yo.
I'm connected.
We're connected.
Create the perfect broadband bundle that fits your style with Smart Connect. With the Junior Bundle, get 50% off your national calls and up to 6 gigabytes of data at no extra cost. Get postpaid added on for an additional cost of only $25 with the Prime Bundle. Stay connected with unlimited smart-to-smart calls, plus 6,300 megabytes of data and free international minutes. For the family, get the Binge Watchers bundle with Netflix add-on for only $28.13 more. This bundle gives you 4 profiles with unlimited streaming on multiple devices. Visit a showroom near you to sign up and personalize your own bundle combination with Smart Connect. Smart, bringing people together.
My name is Hermine Vega. El Patio Grill has been using Belize Bank for over 25 years. We only use Belize Bank at our restaurant. That's why we were able to win this trip to Europe. I had never been to Europe. We found out it was Madrid and we were excited, and we went to this football match. The teams reached before the game and everybody was just outside, you know. You can't explain, the noise just roared like 3 blocks down the street, but when you got in there and you saw 70,000 people in there, that was amazing. I couldn't believe it was happening. I had to pinch myself to make sure it was real, you know, because it's a one-in-a-lifetime experience, I'd say. My lucky plus one was my son. He's 18 years old, so he was really excited and he enjoyed it as well. He said it's his best trip ever, so it's a priceless experience that we got. Belize Bank has always been there for me. Whatever transactions or whatever I need to do, they're always there for me. I would recommend everybody use Belize Bank. This is the oldest bank in our country, and they continue to do their best.
V-Bucks and get a chance to win a $10,000 homecation with Benny's. Quality and savings.
Evening, everybody. Not 1, not 2, but 3 fan on, TV, and all the lights. Hey!
Small changes, like turning off lights and appliances when leaving the room, can make a big difference in your energy usage. Talk to your family about energy management today. Do a little, conserve a lot. Need help? The BEL 24/7 app has tools to get you on the right track. Download today and let's talk energy management.
And welcome back. For our first conversation this morning, we have been joined by the Chief Meteorological Officer, Ronald Gordon. Good morning.
Hi,
Good morning.
Good morning.
And you, my friend, are here to talk to us this morning about the remainder of the hurricane season and, of course, the weather. Good morning once again.
Okay, let's start off with the weather. So, as many of us know, we are looking at Tropical Storm Helene, which currently is moving well to the north of us. It is moving towards the Yucatan Channel, and it's expected to curve to the north and eventually affect Florida, potentially as a major hurricane. And that system does not pose a significant threat to us. We may be impacted by some outer feed bands later on Thursday into Friday, but other than that, we do not expect significant impacts from the system. So the good news for us is that we have been spared from this one.
Yes, that seems to be one of the, I don't want to say trends when it comes to weather systems. We've always said that Belize is a very blessed country where the weather is concerned. But while we do know that there isn't a significant chance for it turning around and heading to Belize, is there any possibility of us experiencing that as a hurricane?
This particular system, no. The odds of that happening, of it turning around, is almost zero.
Okay.
So the path is set. The models are very much in agreement that the system will move towards that direction.
How quickly is this storm moving, Chief?
Currently, it's moving to the northwest at 7 miles per hour and has maximum sustained winds of 70 miles per hour.
Okay.
We are headed into, if we aren't already there yet, the most active part of the hurricane season. Are there any projections in terms of perhaps what can be expected at this time of year?
Well, let's first start at where we are in terms of numbers, no? So far we've experienced 8 named storms for the season. 4 of those have become hurricane, and soon we'll have 5 because Helene is expected to become a hurricane.
Okay.
And we have had 1 major hurricane, which was Beryl. So climatologically speaking, we are below normal at this time. A typical season is 14, and of course, 7 hurricanes and 3 major hurricanes. Now, of course, as you rightly mentioned, we're still in the peak of the season. The actual peak has passed. It's around the 10th of September, but we do know that we have October and November still to deal with. And from our own experience, we know that we have had hurricanes in October. Well, Hattie, of course, the most famous one. And as most recently, Hurricane Lisa in November. And of course, in 2020, you saw 2 major hurricanes impacting Nicaragua back-to-back, Hurricane Eta and Iota in November. So we are not out of the woods, and that's an important message that I want to convey to the Belizean public. We need to remain on the alert. We cannot let our guards down. We're still in hurricane season. And even if it turns out to be inactive season, so to speak, it only takes 1 hurricane to affect us for it to be a major or a very active season for us.
So let's go back just for a second. And this is not hurricane related. It's more the weather that we've been experiencing over the past few weeks, where I would want to believe, and you'll correct me if I'm wrong, it felt unseasonably hot for the past 2 weeks or so. Is that normal, or are we experiencing something different?
Well, I will be very frank. We certainly are experiencing climate change. There's no doubt about that. Our temperatures are warming up. Every year we see that records are being broken. We are seeing that climb in temperatures. But however, we do, and we have noticed over several years, that we tend to have 2 peaks in the heat season. One is in May, and we have another one in late September, October. Actually, if you may recall, last year, it was actually hotter than where we are now in terms of the heat. We had that very hot period just before the eclipse. And so, yes, it is becoming the norm for us that we are having these hot temperatures late September, October.
Chief, you and your team are tasked with collecting information and analyzing it from your expertise and, of course, disseminating it to the public. Based on your analysis that you have seen in your career, is there anything that concerns you at this time, excuse me, concerning our weather development here in Belize?
Well, certainly we are concerned. Like I said before, we are in an era where we are seeing the impacts of climate change slowly affecting us. So one of the things that would concern me the most is the unpredictability, the variability that we are seeing in terms of our weather conditions. Mm-hmm. I think most persons would agree with me that what we'd expect in the past is not the same as it is now. For example, one of the main signatures of climate change is that we have these long dry spells, unseasonably sometimes during the main parts of the rainy season, and then you will get these sudden downpours of rainfall that will inundate the area. And certainly that's a concern for everybody because it impacts everyone, especially I would say our farmers, because the rain is not distributed evenly as they would want. The dry will certainly affect their crops in terms of not having enough water. And then when you get the sudden increase in rainfall, it will be another hazard because then you will get your whatever is growing will become flooded. So it's a major impact that affects everyone.
What I'm interested to learn a bit about from the type of work that you guys do, Mr. Gordon, is the type of equipment that you would use at the office as it relates to tracking different types of, I'd say, weather patterns. We know that you have your tools that observes, I'd say, rain and weather systems that are developing outside. But now a conversation that we are having is heat and dry spells, as you mentioned. In this year particular, we reported on a lot of cases of fires because of the heat. Is there anything in the type of tracking that you guys do that determines different areas that are likely to experience the driest or the hottest parts that could potentially lead to forest fires?
Well, there are two components when it comes to weather, right? You have prediction and observations. So when it comes to predicting the weather, we use, of course, our forecast models or computer models, and those would indicate to us where the driest parts will be. They will indicate to us where you'll have the extreme temperatures. We do have models that could tell us that. And when it comes to monitoring, of course, we have our network of automatic weather stations across the country that we use in real time to indicate to us where the actual temperatures are in terms of measurement, because models are just a prediction, they're an estimate of what could occur. But then when you have your actual weather stations on the ground, they give us an indication of what is actually occurring, and then we can alert persons in real time that, you know, this is a hot spot. But apart from, of course, the weather stations, we also use satellite imagery to give us an indication of where the hotspots are across the country during the heat season in particular and during the fire season, so you can determine more or less where you will expect fires to develop.
Is this something that the public has access to? Because you brought up a big aspect of what faces impacts from the weather, and that are farmers. That's farmers, of course. And I think a conversation that we oftentimes don't have is the importance of meteorology where agriculture is concerned. We oftentimes just think of how it affects the regular man on the ground, how to make your plans for the day. But let's talk about that, farmers accessing these information. Is this something that is available to them, that they partner with you guys?
Well, I mentioned our network of automatic weather stations. So the general public, not only farmers, but all stakeholders have access to our weather station data. They are freely available on our website. The website, of course, I'll repeat, is www.nms.gov.bz. You can click on that website. You will see a map that shows a distribution of weather stations across the country. You click on any of those weather stations. You get real-time data that you can use to monitor what's happening. But then, of course, there are other things. We have developed a mobile app, by the way. It's an Android phone only now. You can go into Google Play and type in Belize weather and can download our weather app, which is freely available as well. Unfortunately, only on Android for now, but certainly we are going to roll it out to other platforms in the future. But then, of course, we have other programs in place to reach out to our farmers. We have basically been liaising with the Ministry of Agriculture, the Extension Department. We work very closely with them, and we're developing different programs for us to go out there actually and communicate the information to farmers so that they can take whatever we have to make informed decisions on how to prepare for whatever climatic or weather conditions that can be expected.
Well, from agriculture to a conversation that was also heavily headlined last week, and that was that king tide that was observed. Now, talk to us and explain to our viewers, Chief, of what that specifically is. Is it a phenomenon, or is it something that we will be expecting more regularly?
Well, it's certainly something that has occurred before. It is the scientific reason of how it occurs is when, of course, you have a full moon or a new moon. In that particular case, the Earth, the Sun, and the Moon are perfectly aligned. And as many of your viewers may be aware, the tides are caused by the gravitational pull of both the Earth and the Moon on the oceans, right? You know, like gravity exerts a force, so it pulls it. And therefore, when you have these celestial bodies perfectly aligned, it will be certainly more favorable for you to have extra pull in that particular instance. And of course, to compound that, you know that the orbit of both the Earth around the Sun and the Moon around the Earth are not circular, they're elliptical. And in that case, there'll be a period in which the Earth and the Sun will be closer to each other, and of course the Moon will be closer to the Earth. And if those things are perfectly aligned, then of course you get what we call the king tides, or the scientific name is spring tides, that would inundate and cause what we call nuisance flooding. It's something that we have to live with. We cannot do anything to prevent it. We are.
In this case, it was compounded by the fact that the floodwaters from the west also came down the Belize River, right?
Indeed, that's an extra factor. So we had the river levels were a bit higher than normal, and so certainly that compounded the fact, because then of course you have the waters from the river not being able to go out to sea because the tides are high.
Yeah.
So all those factors came in perfectly in play to result in what we call the king tides.
And I understand we will be expecting more of that through the course of next month as well, into the remainder of the year?
Yeah, from what I read, we are expecting additional super moons, as we refer to them, and that's when the moons, when you have a full moon where the moon is closest to the Earth, and then of course that will create additional king tides.
All right. Well, Chief, we want to continue the conversation where the hurricane season is concerned, and I'm smiling because we are both coughing over here. I'm sorry. But let's continue the conversation, Chief, and I think this is a concern that we have been raising. Certainly it's a question that was posed to you many times before, but as it relates to the hurricane season and how it's projected, or how it was projected to be overly active. We saw Beryl make its entrance to the scene very early in the hurricane season. A lot of people are still thinking that there is the possibility that we can see a shift in what our season will look like. Will it be extended, or is there a possibility that our hurricane season can be extended?
Well, it's not out of the norm. It's not unprecedented. We have had instances of hurricanes forming, I think, almost every month of the year. So that is not something that we can rule out. Certainly we can go into December and see maybe a hurricane forming. So we need to be on the alert. The season I mentioned earlier hasn't panned out exactly the way it was predicted. And there are several working theories, or I would say ideas of why that is the case, including, of course, an overly active Saharan dust layer season and stability in the atmosphere. So for hurricanes to form, you want to have a contrast between the very warm ocean waters and cooler atmospheric conditions above. And from what I understand, that's also an impact of climate change, because then you have the oceans warming, but also you have the atmosphere warming at the same time. So you have a stable layer. And that's really concerning, because even though hurricanes are nuisances and we don't like them, they do serve a purpose. All that heat that you see generated near the surface, it will take it and disperse it. But if you're not having these storms forming and you have these extra hot conditions, then we're living in certainly really bad times because it gets extra humid and there's no source or no system out there to take that heat away.
I never thought of it like that.
Yes, indeed. And those are certainly some factors that actually contributed to where we are in terms of the season. But again, like I mentioned, we are still in September. We have October and November, and the models have been looking at, especially the global forecast system model, which is sometimes referred to as the American model, is churning up a lot of systems in October. At least it's long term, there's a lot of uncertainty, but it's something that we need to pay close attention to because there's always a possibility that there could be more activity as we move into the next few months.
Now, traditionally or historically perhaps, October is the wettest month of the year, right? What can we expect in the next few weeks in terms of rainfall?
Well, like I mentioned before, so I'm seeing several systems developing and that could lead to extra rainfall. So we may see an above normal rainfall pattern in October. It is possible.
All right. Well, as it relates to any other systems outside, we know we just spoke of Helene, that is just about above us. Is there any other systems that we are currently observing in the Atlantic area?
There is a system way out in the Atlantic basin that has a medium chance of forming right now.
Okay.
That one doesn't seem to be coming our way. It appears it will curve a bit more to the north before it gets here. So in the short term, there is nothing of major concern. But like I mentioned, looking at the long-term projections, there are indications that we may see systems coming into the Caribbean further up in October.
I want to go back a bit to a point that you made, and I know that this was covered in the news fairly recently. Okay, so what we're looking at are the effects of Hurricane Lisa when it was passing through Belize a few years ago. Let me ask you, what are some of perhaps the lessons learned from this experience from a meteorological perspective?
Well, I believe, first up, an important lesson for us and everyone, the public, the media, is we should not focus on the exact timing of landfall of a hurricane, when exactly the center is going to cross the shore. We saw from Lisa that even though it was forecast to slow down and to impact us later in the night, it came in earlier because, of course, it's not a point. You have these bands coming in from before the system actually crosses the shore. So that's an important lesson that I think we need to take away from Lisa. Apart from that, do not focus on exactly where, apart from the timing, and don't focus on exactly the geographical location of the center, because there was some variability. Initially, the system was forecast to make landfall just north of Dangriga. There was a slight shift. It is not significant in the big scheme of things. It's still a very relatively accurate forecast because it was about a 15 to 20 mile difference. But that small difference made a significant impact for the city because the center then passed just south of Belize City, meaning that we are or were in the more active part or the more stronger part of the system.
I also think about other countries that were impacted by, for instance, Beryl in this case that took place this year. We also know Mexico is about to brace for another major storm, or another storm, so to speak. Is there any type of lessons that you take or that the team from the Met Service takes from these other countries that are impacted? For instance, Jamaica, our sister nation in the Caribbean.
Well, I would certainly say that we, of course, communicate. We work together. We, as a region, one of the most important things that we have here is that we have a regional center that provides additional information when it comes to hurricane forecasting. The National Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida, of course. Everybody knows about them. It's a regional arrangement. It's a global arrangement through the United Nations. We are a part of the World Meteorological Organization, and therefore, as a region, it is basically an arrangement that we have that Hurricane Center in Miami, Florida, having the technology, having the ability to fly the hurricane hunters into these systems, provide us with additional guidance. But of course, we as the local National Meteorological Services, we're on the ground. We know our terrain. We have data on the ground. And another important thing that we have, of course, is our network of radars. And as I have said previously, when a hurricane is making landfall, the National Hurricane Center even though they have all this technology and all this satellite imagery, nothing is as good as having ground information, and therefore they would use data from our radar to help them pinpoint the center and to identify exactly where the heavier rain bands are coming in. And that's what we use as well to inform our residents that, you know what, there's a strong band coming in into your area, so you need to, at this moment, even though you should have been in shelter, take extra precaution because it's going to get worse.
Chief, I also want to touch on something that was mentioned earlier this year, a concern that was mentioned where human resource is concerned, where there's a possibility or there's a look at the fact that there are few people who are interested in this profession. Of course, you are the Chief Met Service meteorologist, but there are other individuals who I think we're probably looking at that are retiring out of the career. What is that concern looking like from your standpoint?
It is a concern. It is something that we are looking at measures to address. We have developed a plan that we are looking to get endorsement from, certainly to do several things. One of the things is that we need to attract persons to the field. And even though the compensation package may not be the only thing that would attract people, we need to look at that as well and see how we can find ways to attract persons that would want to become interested in studying meteorology. It's a difficult career, it's a difficult field. It involves rigorous mathematics and physics, and I think all educators in the country, lecturers, professors, teachers will tell you that students shy away from maths, they shy away from physics. So we need to find the caliber of persons that would be interested in that field, but would also be attracted to whatever we have to offer them as well, because it works both ways, no?
Yeah.
We don't want to train our people and then eventually they move to other locations that has a high attractive compensation package. So these are things that we're looking at to enable us to get persons to take up this career, because it's important.
Yeah.
We don't want to become at one point where we don't have people in this field. We need a local meteorological service on the ground to provide us with information.
What I would like to ask you about is the rise of all of these YouTube forecasters and what have you, and the effect that that has had or continues to have on our Belizean population, where you have people who, before they listen to or take in the information that the National Meteorological Service provides, they go online or go to YouTube, and then that becomes their source of information, even though it's not localized.
Well, first of all, I'll say that we don't have control over that, and we cannot prevent anybody from going to any source that they want to get information. Unfortunately, we wish we could, but we cannot do that, right? People have a right to look at what they want to. But we urge our residents to pay keen attention to what we are saying. And an important thing point that I want to make in terms of that, that does not take away from the importance of having a national meteorological service.
Yeah.
We know that information is free. The Hurricane Center in Langford post their forecasts immediately on the website, and of course the radio stations, public take it up. But what would they do without observations on the ground? The YouTube meteorologists that you talk about, or the social media meteorologists, actually are looking at the same forecast models that we are looking at. And how do these forecast models actually generate that forecast? They need observations. And where does that observation come from? On the ground. We are actually collecting that information and transmitting it to the global computer or forecasting centers for them to utilize. You cannot create a forecast without information.
So they're still getting it from you guys, essentially?
Yes. The observations, at least, they're getting from us, because how forecast works is that you need to know what's happening now. You integrate that into a model. Complicated equations are being solved, and you project that in time. So without any observation, the forecast is basically bogus. As we say in computer science, garbage in, garbage out. So the Met Service will always be important, regardless of the fact that you have these people who may have more, I would say, attractive graphics and displays out there providing that information. It is important to have a Met Service on the ground to ensure that the accuracy of what's coming out is good, is okay. Not to say that we do not have ambition to eventually move to that level where we actually have real-time weather forecasts with all the fancy graphics and all the good communicators that we need to ensure that our public actually are more inclined to focus on what we are providing.
Yeah. Well, this has been quite an insightful conversation with you, Chief. We appreciate it, as always, you taking the time out of your schedule to join us so early in the morning. I'm sure our viewers are also equally appreciative. I'll give you an opportunity to share your last thoughts with us.
Again, I think I want to close off by emphasizing to the public that the hurricane season may appear to be inactive for the most part. Like I said, we're a bit behind normal in terms of the amount of storms up to this point. It is important for us to remember that it only takes one storm or one hurricane to hit us for it to be active. There are still 2 months more officially in the hurricane season, or a bit over 2 months, about 1 week. And so therefore, keep your guards up, keep prepared, keep on the alert, keep listening to official information, and certainly be prepared in case that you need to take action.
All right. Thank you so much, Chief, for joining us. We wish you guys all the best.
Sure. It's a pleasure.
All right, we are going to take another quick break, and when we come back, we'll be joined by a youth advocate representing UNICEF. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Technology is ubiquitous, and it's transforming how, when, and where we work. Full-Tech Systems is placing award-winning devices in the hands of information workers, allowing them to work without compromise in a world without wires, to innovate, create, and to maximize productivity anytime, anywhere, satisfying the needs of the desk-centric remote and field worker and every other worker in between. We are providing the industry's best devices to businesses going through the process of digital transformation. Partner with us today to provide the solutions that will allow your employees to work effectively and efficiently to enhance your customers' experience. Full-Tech Systems, your technology center, where you'll come for the price, but stay for the service.
La formación del Centro Neurológico del Hospital Galenia es que esas enfermedades que son altamente complejas y que muchos de nuestros pacientes tenían que emigrar hacia otra parte de la República u otra parte de México ahora puedan ser atendidos aquí.
La atención quirúrgica en el centro neurológico se forma dentro de un grupo multidisciplinario que incluye tanto neurólogos, médicos internistas, ortopedistas, neurocirujanos, pediatras. Y este esfuerzo que se ha realizado para conjuntar todos los especialistas es para siempre brindar al paciente un abordaje multidisciplinario y transversal.
Evidentemente, mientras más rápido podamos llegar al diagnóstico de los pacientes, más rápido podemos tratarlos, resolverlos y por ende mejor resultado vamos a tener al final. Entonces creo que la prioridad y el fundamento principal de un proyecto como este es justamente eso, que no se pierda tiempo de forma innecesaria para poder al final del día llegar al mejor de los resultados con un tratamiento completo, integral y oportuno.
Y las visiones desde diferentes perspectivas nos permiten tener pues el mejor tratamiento y la mejor opción para el paciente.
Tenemos la capacidad técnica, operativa, profesional y la infraestructura de poder establecer una atención neurológica de alta calidad.
Belize, where natural beauty meets luxury, a land of rich culture, stunning landscapes, and a people proud of their heritage. There's so much to be proud of as we commemorate 43 years of independence. At Design Depot, we're inspired by the strength, growth, and pride of our country. With a focus on trust and excellence, we're here to serve you by our commitment to quality and by offering only the finest products and exceptional service. From all of us here at Design Depot, we wish you a safe and happy September celebrations. A nation proud and free. Belize at 43. Design Depot, all in one place.
Welcome back. We are jumping into our second conversation this morning, and as we mentioned, it's all about youth, UNICEF, and youth advocacy. We are joined virtually this morning by Elaine Perdomo, and she's a youth advocate representing UNICEF. Good morning, Elaine, and thank you so much for joining us virtually this morning.
Good morning. It's wonderful to be joining you guys and be having the opportunity to talk about what I'm doing here in
All right, Elaine, so we know, I think I recognize your face. You have been on the morning show before talking about your involvement. I believe at that time you were a student with the Belize High School, yes?
Yes, I was. I'm now a student at university here. I'm studying in Florida.
Yes.
Go ahead.
Yes.
Sorry? Now I'm majoring in material science and engineering and minoring in computer science.
Wonderful. Well, you are also heavily involved in, I'd say, advocacy and volunteering, and one of these organizations that you represent is UNICEF. Let's talk about your involvement with this organization.
My involvement with UNICEF. So I could tell you a little bit more about my role as a youth advocate. I mean, being a youth advocate is all about using your own voice to empower other young people to have the ability to use their voices and creating actions and advocating for actions to promote and advocate for children's rights. So I specifically work on, or I aim to focus on addressing education rights and also specifically for girls in marginalized communities.
Yes.
What has your work in that area been like in terms of your experiences and perhaps other things that you would learn during your pursuit?
Okay, so right now here in New York, we have the Youth Advocates Mobilization Lab, and with that, it's sort of like a training for youth advocates across the globe, which is really wonderful to get to meet other youth advocates in other countries who are working on either similar projects or projects alike. So during our training, we got to meet with professionals in the field who gave us, who taught us more about how we can better advocate. So we got advocate training, we had content creation because media is also a really big part of advocacy. We even got to talk with professionals on like public speaking, which was incredible because we learned a lot about that. And really it just showed, by bringing us all together, it just showed how being a youth advocate is about merging your ideas across the globe with other people, which I thought was a wonderful experience.
Elaine, what is youth advocacy like when you are representing your country? You are currently studying in Florida, where I imagine there are many more young people like yourself who share similar values and would like to also change the world the way that you are. What does your advocacy look like as a university student?
Well, what I want to do specifically with my major is I want to use material science and engineering and science on a whole and technology to create more technologies that impact the world and impact specifically humanitarian issues. So during my time here in New York, I actually got to talk with a lot of organizations that are doing that, which I think is incredible. And I learned more about science diplomacy and humanitarian organizations that are also really involved with technology, like Google.org. And so right now, specifically, what I'm focusing on in Florida whilst I'm studying is doing more research on new technologies and creating new technologies to impact certain issues and certain things across the world, specifically in Belize.
Yeah.
Your reference to New York, would this be the recent United Nations General Assembly? I think I read an article where I believe it's you who were making waves recently.
Yes, yes. I had the opportunity during the mobilization lab. It brought us a lot of opportunities to public speak at the United Nations General Assembly events. We got to go to the opening event for the United Nations General Assembly, and there's a lot of side events as well with different policymakers and different politicians and diplomats. And I had the opportunity to speak so far at 2 of them. I have another one on Thursday, but at the 2 that I've spoken at, I had the opportunity to kind of make known the youth voice and the youth opinion on the issues, specifically revolving technology and the digital divide. So on the event on the summit of the First Ladies and Gentlemen, I had the opportunity to advocate for children in marginalized communities in Belize who suffer from the digital divide and who don't have the opportunity to develop and to really have their educational rights because of their lack of access to technology in such a world where technology really is a necessity. So I had the opportunity to advocate for that in front of the First Ladies of many different countries and to meet again our own First Lady, which was incredible as she also had such an impactful speech on the use of technology in Belize at the moment.
What I think is also important to mention is that, Elaine, you have been about this advocacy and about this cause for quite some time. I remember when you were a student at high school representing your school and talking about it. I believe it was an app that you launched that would have helped to provide a space for persons who would have been impacted in some way from, I believe it was sexual trafficking. Can you speak about that app that you would have mentioned a few years ago?
Okay, yeah, so that application was sort of what really started my advocacy. I mean, I saw an issue in my community and I wanted to solve it. And the way that I went around doing that was with technology. So it's really just about showing how important technology is in impacting your community. I feel like it provides such another world where you could have so many opportunities to create new things when there's barriers in your physical world. And I think that's so important, and that's how I first got into everything that I'm doing now.
Wonderful.
How do you balance your academic life with advocacy and all the experiences that you're perhaps having over in the United States as a college kid?
Well, it's a little difficult. It's a lot about time management and organization, which of course, being a college student, being on my own for the first time without my parents, it's a little difficult to navigate, but it's all about making sure you're organized, making sure your time is organized, making sure your priorities are also organized is very important. I like to keep a list of all of the things I do and organize it by priority. So if I have an exam today, I will focus on studying for that exam first and then doing any speeches that I need to write or any workshops to organize or etc. But it's really about knowing how to manage your time and also having a great support system. I think learning from my parents and my family and other youth advocates has been incredibly helpful along this journey.
Has there been any involvement from your peers that you would have formed while studying abroad? Are they aware of the work and the big steps that you're taking here in Belize while still being a student?
Well, actually, again, whilst I'm here in New York and getting to meet other youth advocates, I learned more about the UNICEF USA and how I could work with them on more advocacy, especially whilst being in the US and not being in my country. So I think that was really helpful. Again, like I was mentioning earlier, it's great to have a good support system. And in that, I'm meeting other advocates who are also in university, which is great. And really, it's about that international collaboration that I mentioned at the beginning. It's really important to share perspectives and hear perspectives from other people to bring back to learn different ways of navigating the advocacy that you're doing, regardless of your location.
What do you intend to do in the future? You have your academic pursuits, which I believe you'll graduate to working in that particular field, but where youth advocacy is concerned, what would be the next step for you?
Okay, so for my future, actually during this week, I went to a seminar sort of at the United Nations General Assembly that spoke on science diplomacy. And I thought that was so incredible because I hadn't known about that before. And really what it's about is bringing science and diplomacy together to advocate for the implementation of science and on different issues across the world. So that's exactly what I want to do, that along with merging technology for humanitarian issues. So I'm really excited to go down the path of science diplomacy and advocating through technology.
I want to talk about some of the immediate projects that we can expect from you as we, I guess, follow along your journey as an advocate. Are there any collaborations that we will be looking forward to seeing in the near future?
Well, after this experience, some that I really hope to establish is more working with policymakers on creating policies that establish long-term benefits for people, for girls specifically in marginalized communities. Through this experience and through the advocacy training and through learning more from other youth advocates, I really learned the importance of having policies in place that really speak and emphasize the need for these people to have these certain opportunities. And of course, having workshops and having initiatives is incredibly important. But with policies actually in place, it creates a long-term effect. So I really hope, after having the ability to talk with some of the policymakers at the different events, that I can bring that connection and implement it into creating change in our country.
Are there any specific changes that you would like to see here in Belize as it relates to some of the marginalized areas that you would have highlighted?
I really want to increase the access to technology. I know that there's initiatives going on right now, especially learning from our First Lady on things that they're doing to increase their access to technology and low-cost computers to be implemented there. So I really want to work on exacerbating that kind of initiatives. And also, like I mentioned earlier about research that I'm doing as a university student, I want to do more research on how we could make these computers more low cost so that they could be implemented there. And that's what I'm most looking forward to working on.
What would you say to encourage any other young person out there to get involved in youth advocacy?
Well, youth advocacy is such a wonderful experience that really amplifies your voice, especially working with UNICEF. I think it's such an empowering experience to be able to use your voice and advocate for other people who don't have the opportunity to stand up for themselves. And it's really about learning how to use the opportunities around you to amplify your voice and to amplify the voices of others. So really, I want every child to know that they have a voice and their voice is important. Their voice can be used to advocate for policy changes they want to make or things they want to see changed in their communities. So really speak out about the issues that you see, speak out about what you want to see done. Yes.
Well, as Isani pointed out, we recognized your efforts when you represented Belize at the UN General Assembly in New York. I want to ask you about your experience about that, because for a lot of young people, presenting on areas that concern them in front of people who could be considered the decision makers might be a daunting task. Was that something that intimidated you in any way, and what was that preparation like?
It was a little nerve-wracking, but of course, during our training at the Youth Advocates Mobilization Lab, that's exactly what they aimed to target. Like, that's why we had speakers, professional speakers, show us how to public speak. I think one of the main things that I found really helpful from that was that the public speaker, her name was Sally Cohen, and she taught us that our nerves and our excitement stem from the same cortex in our brain. So whenever we think that we're nervous, it's just a sign that we really care and we're really excited to share this. So I've just been telling myself when I'm nervous, it's because I'm so excited and I'm excited to speak about this. I'm excited to advocate for this cause. And it's really about, she also taught us like the different percentages. Like we have our use of body language, our voice, and our content. So going into speaking about these, the audience already expects you to know your content. So what's most important is your voice, how you're communicating with the audience so that they're really grasping what you're saying, and your body language. So being open, being seen as ready to communicate with these people. So I think learning all of these tips and tricks was what really allowed me to be a better public speaker, to better engage with my audience, and to feel more prepared going into this.
You're going to be inspiring a lot of other young people, I imagine, who care about similar things, to want to know how they can do the same, how they can have their voices be heard. This is an opportunity to share perhaps what that avenue was like. How would you encourage other persons to find similar people to speak to have their voices be heard and their platforms be shared?
I think one of the most important things that I learned is that to have that access to support. And I think UNICEF in Belize is a great pillar of support and amplifying your voices. So if you have the opportunity, if you want to be heard, please reach out to UNICEF, reach out to people who work there, reach out to me, reach out to other youth and organizations, because they can help you amplify your voices and teach you the lessons and help you grow. And I think that's really important, that UNICEF does a lot of work to amplify the voices of youth.
All right.
You've come a long way from Belize High School and the activities you are involved with at the secondary school level. Did you see this for yourself at any point when you were in high school, that you would someday be this youth advocate and you'd be on this particular stage? When you're in high school, that you would someday be this youth advocate and you'd be on this particular stage?
I obviously didn't expect to be here. I'm so happy that I had the opportunity to be here. But I think in high school, I had a lot of opportunities to really focus on technology and focus on sort of refining my abilities to really use technology. And I think that was a wonderful opportunity, which is why I want to bring that opportunity to other people and to other girls across our country, because I think it's so important and so empowering. I also think that all of my advocacy that I did in high school really helped me learn more about what I wanted to do and more about myself and more about my community. And I think it's that knowledge about your passions and that knowledge about your community that can come together to help you impact others. So I'm really happy that I had that support and that environment to help me do that. And now what I want to do is to bring that support and that environment to other people and to other girls in our country.
Well, as we wrap up this conversation, Elaine, I'll give you an opportunity to share some final thoughts with our viewers, and especially, what we can expect from you in the future.
Final thoughts is really just to our leaders of our country, to the children of our country, that it's really important to use your voice, and it's really important to listen to the voices of youth, because the voices of youth are those who are our future, are those who are going to be impacting our future and the way our future looks and amplifying the benefits that we want for each other. So I think it's really important to amplify our voices because we can bring new perspectives and we can empower each other as all. So just to listen to everyone, to listen to youth, to girls, to men, to whether age, whatever sector or whatever your focus is, just to listen to each other, I think is especially important. And I look forward to coming back to Belize and sharing my knowledge about that.
Wonderful. Well, thank you so much for joining us virtually. We know you appear to be quite a busy one, so we wish you all the best as well.
Thank you. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak today. It was wonderful, and it's lovely to see you guys again and to connect with Belize.
Alrighty, anytime. All right, we are going to take another quick break, and when we come back, the conversation switches into a Belize team representing us in Mexico in track and field. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Hello friends, I'm Dr. Bob Roberts with another 60-second sermon from God's Word. The Bible says, "But I would not have you to be ignorant, brethren, concerning them which are asleep, that you sorrow not, even as others which have no hope." Hope is a wonderful asset to possess. Hope is wonderful to have when one receives a bad report from a doctor, when one loses their job, or when financial reverses come. Hope has a way of motivating us to attempt the impossible, to believe in the unbelievable, and to endure the unbearable. It was once said that when Alexander the Great would prepare to go into battle, that he would give all of his earthly possessions away. And on one occasion, someone asked him why he did that and not keep at least something for himself. He said, "Oh, I always keep one thing for myself. I always keep hope." Hope was the most treasured possession because he knew that if he survived the battle, that with hope he could regain all that he had given away. When life seems impossible and your hurts are overwhelming, cling to hope and look to Jesus Christ. For those who believe in Him sorrow not as those who have no hope. It is truly a hope that reaches out into eternity. Today's 60-second sermon has been presented by Christian Foundations of Faith in cooperation with the Baptist churches in your area.
We're going to play a wonderful game called Who is Your Daddy and What Does He Do?
My dad repairs wrecked cars driven by women who are pinheads. My dad watches TV all day long.
Lain ka ba Elmer Shaw? Ay yun si kahelak sa Ecopal Tree Lodge. Kero ni kahelan ay lain sa Ecopal, kakui bartending, kakuan kero ni mano lain. Lain ni usara Belize Bank mobile app. Hanak na usare uta ana ATM, uting card. Araw kay balbas changkiro na sa usare ut kulore na notification chira phone na mensajes. Araw ta kin na kulore ta kala harup ci tumin sa usare. Ut araw ta naw na sa chabilo kong gatumin.
Ladies and gentlemen, this is what you've been waiting for. In this corner, we have the masters of limitless power and unbeatable connection. Pioneers of 4G LTE in Belize. It's the undefeated champion, Smart. And in the other corner, struggling to keep up, it's the other guy. Fight! of getting blow after blow from a plan with the other guys? It's time to tap out and join the winning postpaid plan provider. Smart's postpaid plans are a total knockout to the competition, and they have once again powered up their postpaid plans. Sign up for one of Smart's boosted postpaid power plans today and experience the victory of superior service. Smart, bringing people together.
And welcome back. Our third segment this morning is about track and field and a team that's heading to Mexico to represent Belize. We have been joined by Fred Usher Jr. He's an executive member of the Athletics Association. Yes. And in the middle is Shelmadine Carr. She's also an executive member and a coach. And to her left is Jalen O'Brien. Good morning, you're an athlete. Yes.
Yeah.
Let's
They're all
talk
athletes.
Yes, they're all athletes. Let's talk about this upcoming tournament or this upcoming meet.
Competition, yes.
Yes, and what it means for you guys in terms of your preparation.
Well, the event is named Copa de Revolution. This is the 8th annual, so it happens every year in November. So we train vigorously every year. We know it's in November, so basically after our track season closes, we still continue to prepare for this competition. It's our friends in Playa del Carmen, Quintana Roo, so we have a relationship with them, so every time the competition comes up, they make sure to send me a message or anyone that's been competing before. This is it's going to be either my 6th or 7th year competing in this competition. Miss Carr's been my coach for the past 2 years now, so I started to get her involved. Last year, actually, we got an interview after we came back. We came back with 18 medals last year with a small team, about 7. Yeah, so this year we're taking about a little more than 7, close to 12 to 13 athletes now.
What I'm curious to know is a bit of your journeys as athletes in track and field. You spoke about the medals that you would have brought home just last year with only 7 members on the team. I want to take the floor or give the floor to you guys to share a bit about your journey as track and field athletes. Let's begin with you, Jalen.
My journey to track and field has been I would say very rough. The training, the mental cycle, all of that as an athlete is very tough. Making it to training and stuff during the rain, the sun, everything. I've been doing track and field for about 5 or 4 years now, and it's a sport that I fall in love with. Yeah. And I dedicated almost my whole life to track, so it's a thing that I wouldn't want the Belize athletics, the Belize athletics
association?
Not the association per se.
Okay.
Like the athletics board, and I would not want them to let the sport go to waste.
Yeah.
Because we have many young and talented athletes in Belize.
I think one of the things that we have been talking about as well is the opportunities that exist for these athletes in general, not only outside of Belize, but in Belize as well, when the proper resources is provided to them, but also when they really dedicate themselves entirely to the sport. We will get into that conversation, but I want to ask all of you, how do you know when track and field is your discipline? Like, how do you know when it's for you? Because we all can run, but how do you know when that's the one to choose and focus on?
The dedication.
The dedication?
You fall in love with the sport.
Yeah, eat, dream, think earlier that I think track and field. How early I get up to go run, you know, how much hours I put in for the day, if I could put in 3 training per day. These are the things.
What is training like for track and field? Because it is running.
It is very hard. Because we have where we do plyos, we have our gym session, we have our speed session. It's you really got to be dedicated to actually want to do track and do better, because it's very hard.
Is every day kind of like trying to beat a record from the day before?
No, no, no. You can't do that because you'll get injured.
Okay.
We have a set, well, not actually set program, because if the athlete get injured, we have to reshuffle or schedule or a program that we have. But it's working on better time, if in the sprinting, faster in the distance, in the throwing, whatsoever. It's just to make sure that every month we do a test and see the progression, that how the kids is coming along, and if they're improving, what can we change, what we need to get done. Because sometimes they need strength training, sometimes they're not strong in the gym. We notice that with some of the throwers, they don't have leg power, so these are the things that we work on. In the gym we have different type of workout in the gym. It got to do with we do our legs, we do our arms, we do our cores. It all depends on which day. I have a program with them that I do 3 times a week. We do gym Monday, Wednesday, and Friday. Those are the days that we do gym. Besides doing gym those days, we have our specific that we got to do. Maybe we got 100 meters, maybe 300, 150, 120. It all depends on what we'll do that day besides the gym and besides doing plyo.
When did you realize your passion in coaching and mentoring these young athletes?
I was a runner too. And after my girls start working out with me and they become faster than me, I had to take the bike, and I said, you know something? I'm going to work with my girls. And I start working with them, and from there, and I could recall one day Miss Josephine Flowers came to me and said they were doing a coach's course. So he said, Shelley, he said, I would really like you to do it. And I went and I do it, and from there on I've been in it. Yes, but I love track and field.
Yes.
Love it.
Now, Mr. Usher, we also want to know your journey to this sport or this discipline as well. How did you know when track and field was for you?
From I was in primary school, I've been running for about 17 years now.
Wow.
And counting. I'm not going to give it up. So ever since I was primary school, I knew I loved running. So when I hit high school, I tried to compete in all the sports. They're running events. And then eventually when I caught the regional team, that was it. I kept going. 2012 was my breakout year. That's when I officially got to run on the Marion Jones. And from there, I'm here now. So it's been hard, but the dedication is there, the love. Track and field is like my second home. Miss Carr is like my second mother. So even when injured, I try to find ways to hurry and let the injury go, because I need to get on the track.
Yeah.
How difficult has sports and athletic development been like for you guys, considering the fact that perhaps there isn't that much investment being put into your respective disciplines by the government or by any other sector?
Well, I feel like track's always been on the back burner. It's not one of the top sports they look at, like basketball or football, but we have a lot of talented athletes that get overlooked here in Belize and abroad. We have a couple athletes that Belize and born that went across and studied, and they have all the resources over that side. We don't have, but they still lack the opportunity because we don't get that much attention we need, because I don't think they see the necessity of track. But to me, track is that's the root of basically all sports. You need that endurance, that stamina. So I don't really see the need for us not to get the attention we need if we're like the root of all sports. We need all of that running, that stamina, because for any sport, basketball, football, there's a lot of running, so you need that stamina.
Yeah, that's a fair point, and it is a great point. What I'm also thinking of is that for many athletes, their goal is to make it on the highest competing stage, which would be the Olympics. And in this case, we are talking about a competition that you guys will be going to in Mexico to take part in. For you guys, what is that dream like? Do you have goals of making to that stage as well?
Yes, it's always been my dream. I fight vigorously every day to try to make certain times. I'm actually competing this weekend. I'm going to San Luis Potosi in Mexico, leaving tomorrow. The main thing, we as athletes, we don't have the equipment. So in Belize we use stopwatches, but electronic times are what's important to us. So that's one of the reasons I'm going this weekend, because it's an electronic timing system they're using. So that's where we lack in track and field here in Belize, because to get on those world stages we need electronic times that's gonna get noticed by the world athletics. So hand times, there's a lot of small stuff behind it. You have to add on a couple times and it's not going to be precise. Yes. Yeah. So the electronic time is more important than hand time. So every little competition we have and we get a chance to go, we try to step on it.
Yeah.
What has training been like for you guys though, in terms of looking at the available facilities and being able to prepare yourself mentally and physically to go and represent Belize?
Well, with the current state of our track right now, it's hard to train. It's deteriorating, but
we use a
lot of grass work.
Yeah.
That's what a lot of them don't know.
Training. I train them in the grass so that they don't get injured on the track, because the track is dead, it's flat.
Yeah, a lot of people don't know that. Everybody thinks it's everything on the track, but it's not. The more you train on the track, it's faster for you to get injured. If they look abroad and check all the other athletes, there's a lot of grass work. The only time we train on the track is when competition is slowly approaching. Yeah. So we practice our speed work, our blocks, plyometrics. So it's not all about the track.
Yeah. Let's talk about your training as well, Mr. O'Brien. What has your training been through the course of the years leading up to now competing and representing Belize?
My training through the years has been tough. I've dealt with a lot of injuries. I've dealt with multiple setbacks, such as the electric timing that Mr. Fred said. The training has been tough. My past few coaches that I had, the training that they had was just like basic training. I didn't see myself going anywhere, so I've made the switch to Coach Carr. And now that I'm with Coach Carr, I've made a big improvement. I've been faster than I ever had. And yeah, with Coach Carr, she's helped me a lot. She's helped me a lot.
Coach Carr, how many people are you currently training? Because we are only looking at 2 of this small body that will be representing us in Mexico, but you seem to be a popular figure in the athletic scene.
Right now, we have about what?
Currently, that trains directly under Miss Carr, it's about 5 to 6 of us.
Yeah,
but she also helps other athletes, like we have down south, like if they want Placentia and bite and stuff like that. So she gives them a hand on that side, but her main athletes are myself, Jalen, we have Donovan Greenidge, Gina Tejada, Jada Logan. Yeah, that's about, and Angie Bernard.
And this you have completely dedicated your life to as a profession as well?
Yeah.
Wow. That has to be a decision that comes from passion, that comes from the love of the sport as well, because I think when you recognize ways that there should be improvements, but it's very slow coming in, doesn't it get frustrating at times, Coach Carr?
Honestly, I don't make nothing frustrate me. I find a way to solve whatsoever that the issue. I always find a way around it, how to divert, to meet what I need or what the athletes need. So I always try to find a solution.
So you guys are going to represent us in Mexico at this upcoming game with a delegation of how many athletes?
It would be about 13, including Ms. Carr as our coach.
All right, let's talk about what exactly will be taking place, what we can expect as it relates to your performance, and the date that you'll be leaving and when you'll be returning.
The competition is the first week in November. That's we're competing the Friday and the Saturday. The different disciplines, we have the field events, we have the javelin and shot put, then we have long jump. The track events, we have 100 meters all the way up to the 5K. And there's different age groups, so they're all categorized. So we have from the babies from 3 to 5 years old, then we have 8 to 9, 10 to 13, and so forth. For the 100 meters, they actually they have records that has been broken, and then incentives are given. So for like the 5K, they give a cash prize about 2,000 pesos. That would be around about 200 or so Belize dollars. Same for the 100 meters. I actually broke the record last year. So I set the 100 meter record, which is 1082. They also give an incentive for that too. And if you break the 5K record or the 100 meter record, you get an extra incentive on top of that. So our training, mainly for me, has been very hard.
Break
records. Not just to break that record, but to set a good time.
And the record for himself.
Yes.
Wow. A good time. A really good time.
You know, I'm also here thinking of the fact that we have been doing wonders with the resources that we have, and you just mentioned that you try to go to Mexico as well to compete to have access to these electronic timers. What does your peers in Mexico think of you guys, knowing that you are representing Belize, you're returning back with medals, which means that you are doing wonders with the resources that you have here? Do they look at you guys as like the ones to beat?
Okay, well, this one I'm going this weekend. It's my first time, so not sure of their reaction, but I know talking to the organizer, they're excited for me to come. It was supposed to be Miss Carr, myself, Jalen, and Donovan Greenwich, but the financial support isn't really there, so I'm the only one that really got help. Same thing with the Copa coming up. We still need like financial help, so that's one of our biggest downfalls right now, the availability to help get funding. But in Playa, they show us a lot of love. A couple of years back, they actually gave us transportation and housed us. So that's the love we share and the friendship we have. So going over in Playa, it's all love, and telling them our training and the resources we have, they're appalled and surprised at the results we can do with the little resources we have, because they are far more developed than us, and we tour around with some of them, and they show us some of their facilities, and it's far more advanced than us. So to see what we can do with the little we have, they are very surprised.
Yeah, absolutely. Well, I think this is also an opportunity to extend you know, a request for financial support to you guys. Of course, I imagine it takes a lot of finances to dedicate your time, your effort to this discipline. For you, Ms. Carr, saying that this is your actual profession, I imagine it involves a lot of financial support as well for you too. So how can we support the Athletics Association if we would like to donate?
Well, first and foremost, this is not a trip the Athletics Association is funding. This is just a trip we take on our own. So hence the reason why we look for funding. It's not an official national team competition. It's just things we do on our own. So hence the reason we still ask the Athletics Association for permission to use like the jerseys and suits to show we present as one. So not going in different uniforms. So that's still a little help.
This competition is not on the calendar.
Yes.
Yeah, because you have a set calendar for the year with certain competition that we as BAA need to carry athlete at. So this is not one on the calendar.
Yeah, but hopefully we can set it in the years to get it on the calendar so they can help us more.
But if they would like to donate regardless, do you guys
they can contact Ms. Carr, her cell number
631-3362.
They could contact me at 636-3371, or they can find me on Facebook, Fred Usher Jr., or just visit us at the track Anytime if they want to meet in person, and then can see what they're actually donating to the cause we're out there every day, Monday to Friday.
Each individual need about $800 for the strip alone that we're going to apply her per person.
Wow.
Yeah. Most of it comes out of our pocket. Like most of us that's working, we try to use what we have and not strain the team. Other than that, we do fundraisers also, so we're thinking about doing like barbecues, maybe a car wash, and even hosting small races. So that's in our plan coming up in this month.
All right. Well, there's an opportunity as well for persons who would either like to donate money. They can also donate food supplies for these events that are set to take place. Guys, we wish you all the best, and we can't wait to report on these medals that we hope you return with as well. So good luck.
Thank you.
All right, we are now going to take our final break, and when we come back, we'll be jumping into a conversation on the Interoffice Basketball All-Star League. Stay with us. We'll be right back.
Ready for the tech event of the year. Cellular World presents its very own second annual Nationwide Expo 2024. Celebrate Belize in style and gear up for massive savings on all your favorite tech brands, no matter where you are. Mark your calendars on September 12th, 13th, and 14th. Stop by our stores for our grand pre-expo in-store sale. We're taking the expo excitement to every corner of Belize, making it a true nationwide expo. Visit our expo booth at the Expo Belize Marketplace 2024 at the Marion Jones Stadium on September 14th and 15th. And for our Nartanios, we are coming to Corazon on September 28th. And on September 27th and 28th, we are heading down south to Dangriga and Punta Gorda. Yes, you heard right. No matter where you are, the same incredible expo deals are at your fingertips. From north to south and east to west, Cellular World Nationwide Expo deals will be the best.
This September, Smart is bringing you deals that are bigger and smarter than ever. When you sign up for broadband and add a postpaid plan, you get to enjoy 2 months of free add-ons. Customers that sign up for a select plan or above and get phones for as low as $80. It doesn't end there. Switch to Smart Prepaid and get more value for your money. Switch your chip and get your SIM for only $1. One large social media data bundle for 3 months and phones for as low as $60. Smart has bigger and smarter deals for you. Promo ends September 28th. Smart, bringing people together.
Let's take a journey through the core functions of the Social Security Board. It all starts with registering as an insured person, employer, or self-employed individual. Sign up for a portal account to manage your Social Security information online. Just provide accurate information and click Create. This will give you access to a range of services and benefits. Next, your contribution, along with investments and other income, are collected and distributed into 3 funds. This ensures that the SSB fund is securely utilized to support various benefit programs. The SSB is committed to providing essential benefits such as sickness, maternity, injury, and pension. These benefits are paid out to eligible individuals as a part of the Social Security coverage. We help you navigate through life's challenges with financial security. Annual surplus accumulates to grow the fund each year. This surplus is invested into various industries, contributing to the growth and development of our nation. With each passing year, the fund continues to grow due to the annual surplus and interest revenue earned from prudent investments. This surplus, along with reserves, helps to bolster the SSB fund and provide a safety net for those in need. We've arrived at the end of our journey to better understanding how the SSB works. We remain committed to serving you and building a secure future for all Belizeans.
My name is Hermine Vega. El Patio Grill has been using Belize Bank for over 25 years. We only use Belize Bank. at our restaurant. That's why we were able to win this trip to Europe. I had never been to Europe. We found out it was Madrid, and we were excited, and we went to this football match. The teams reached before the game, and everybody was just outside, you know. You can't explain. The noise just roared like 3 blocks down the street, but when you got in there and you saw 70,000 people in there, that was amazing. I couldn't believe it was happening. I had to pinch myself to make sure it was real, you know, because it's a one-in-a-lifetime experience, I'd say. My lucky plus one was my son. He's 18 years old, so he was really excited and he enjoyed it as well. He said this is his best trip ever, so it's a priceless experience that we got. Belize Bank has always been there for me. Whatever transactions or whatever I need to do, they're always there for me. I would recommend everybody to use Belize Bank. This is the oldest bank in our country, and they continue to do their best.
Welcome back, guys. We are jumping into our fourth and final segment, and it's all about the Design Depot Interoffice Basketball League. We are joined this morning by 3 representatives to talk to us about the upcoming event set to take place this Friday. We have here with us Gilbert Gordon, and he is the tournament coordinator. In the middle is Marlon Middleton, and he is the assistant director. And to my immediate left is Winder Elrington, and he is the director. Gentlemen, thank you so much for joining us, and welcome.
Good morning, and good morning, Belize. It's a pleasure to be here.
Good morning.
Yes.
Good morning.
Now, one of the first questions I asked you guys off air was, what's the hype about this particular event? It's the All-Star event, but for persons who might not have been following the All-Star games or the games in general, the league, what's the hype of it, Mr. Gordon?
Yeah, let me give a backdrop of how we came to this point right here, right now. We started the season the 22nd of August. Right. We had, well, basically right now we have 14 teams. We have 7 teams in Division A and 7 teams in Division B. And those teams that are in Division A are teams from the public sector. And those teams in Division B are from the private sector. Normally during the season, midway through a season, any basketball tournament, there's an all-star game. And so what the IBL committee did was that midway through the season, we created ballots. We selected the top 3 players from each team, from the 14 teams, and we put them on a ballot. And we asked the fans to go ahead and vote for them. And so when we did the tallying of the ballots, the top 12 players from Division A was selected, which is the government sector, and then the top 12 players from Division B was selected, which is the private sector. And so Friday night is going to be an awesome night. Not just the All-Star Classic, but it's also going to be other events that we're going to be hosting during that time.
I want to know, based on both of these sectors, what are the businesses that these teams are representing?
Okay, we have for the business, for the
private sector or government.
Yeah, government private sector. We have the Belize Customs.
Okay.
We have the Belize Defense Force. We have the Belize Coast Guard. We have the, hold on, we have the police department. Those are like some in that sector right there. And then in the private sector, we have like Tough Enough Tours. If you can see it right there, on right there, we have Boeing and Boeing. We also have a real group of companies, Belize City. So we have like a real drop of companies that have been represented in the Interoffice. Because the main concept of the Interoffice is to create that social network, that era where not just for basketball, but also for players to intermingle with different social social partners in regards to ensuring that we build that networking and to see where players and also fans and the family can come out and see their fathers play at this level.
Yeah.
What is the perhaps the level of basketball being played at the IBL?
The IBL level is not at the BEBL level, but the level is just between the BEBL and the Amadea League, because we're talking about people that sometimes you'll find in some instances where people that played in the BEBL, maybe they retired, and so they're working in their workplace, and so they are for that time to play. We also have players that are just coming up, playing basketball, working, young people leaving high school, not at that level of the BEBL, but working at the workplace, and so they can also take part in it. And so you get like a real mixture of basketball talent, but not at the BBL level. But because of the level of where it's at, the parity is great. Because then we have people that are working in these workplaces that are really competing in the tournament.
And also to add a little bit to that is that you have a lot of players that weren't able to meet the criteria or the level when it comes to the BBL. And because they weren't able to meet that, and they're in the working sector, they can participate in the IBL.
Yeah.
So competition-wise, the competition level is there. They compete against each other. There is no game that is a blowout game.
Yeah.
So you'll find that it's very close in most cases.
What has been some of the highlights from this season of the IBL? Let's get you, Mr. Middleton, in the conversation.
Well, basically, the highlights, we have some flashy guys. When I say
Please,
some flashy guys,
expand on that.
We have this guy from the Coast Guard Department, Mr. Ellis. Every time he scores the basket, it's like he's walking on the moon.
Oh.
Then we have a guy from Tough Enough Tours, Mr. Keon. Keon. He is another high flyer. If you would see this guy, you would say, man, couple more years from now, he should be in the BBL.
Yeah.
But when it comes to the teams, everybody is like evenly matched up. To echo what Mr. Garden said, when it comes to all the departments, it's like a advertisement league also, so you could advertise your company. But the guys, they really bring the energy. Some games, like, you would see like the first quarter or up to the third, like maybe a 15-point lead, and then bam, all of a sudden, it's a 1-point game. And like, man, people who went home early, they're missing out.
Yeah.
But I must say that this tournament that we are hosting brings together family a lot too. So a lot of the players bring out their family, and kids, and everything is going smoothly so far with that.
What can we expect on Friday? So we have this great lineup of talent on either side of the floor, but in terms of any other activities that will be held, perhaps at halftime or around the match itself, what can we expect?
Definitely, like what was said earlier, the tournament is named the Design Depot Interoffice Basketball League. Design Depot is the corporate sponsor for the league itself.
Yeah.
Within that, the All-Star game, we have the first event is going to be a skills challenge, where the top point guard from each team, so I have 14 point guard, will be taking part in a Racino's skills challenge. That challenge is where they're going to do dribble, pass, layup, and shoot. And the guard with the best time is going to be the winner. The winner from that is going to receive $200 and a gift basket. Yeah. That starts at 7:30. Then at 8:30 is going to be the Cellular World 3-point shootout. Now this is where it gets very interesting, because now we're talking about the top shooter from each team. So you have 14 shooters, and they're going to go 2 rounds, where you're going to have the one with the highest score after the first round, the top 4 after the first round, is going to advance to the finals. And then the champion from that is going to win $300 and a Samsung cell phone from Cellular World. And that starts at 8 o'clock. And then at 8:30, we're going to be having the Nando's Slam Dunk Contest. Now, this one was awesome last year.
Yeah.
And everybody's looking forward to the Slam Dunk because you get some real high flyers, like what Marlon mentioned. Keon is going to be in there. Ellis is going to be in there. And also Lino from the Customs. So we're going to have some real high flyers taking part in the Nando's Slam Dunk Contest. And then, of course, the night culminates with the Dolphins production All-Star Classic, where the top 12 players from Division A are going to take part in versus the top 12 from Division B, take part in the Dolphins production All-Star Classic. It's going to be a family night. And so we want to invite out the entire country to come out and to see not just, like, for example, earlier we talked about the BBL, not just players at the BBL level, but people who are in the workplace. Come out and support your company and to see them perform in the All-Star Classic.
Yeah. You know what I think, gentlemen, is an observation that I've made is how you gentlemen have found a way to make this discipline of basketball really bring not only families together but businesses together. We know the BBL brings out its own type of crowd. That's where I sort of started to appreciate basketball a bit more, where before that I wouldn't even know where before that I wouldn't even know what's taking place on the court. But is this something that was the intention from you gentlemen and perhaps your team?
Very good question.
Honestly, from since 2007.
That's correct.
From 2007, when we officially took over the Interoffice Basketball League, we have been excelling. We have been working as to how best we could reach out to the public in showcasing what competition is all about, in making sure that the product that we are offering is a product that is worth watching. And the love that we have for the sport is beyond of an individual that just want to come out and showcase something else.
Yeah.
So from 2007 to now, and we are continuing as we go along. If God forbids, health and strength wise, we will continue to get better.
Yeah.
So
just add to what Winder is saying is that when we started in 2007, it was myself, Winder, and the late Ian Mariano.
Yeah.
We were the three founders of the Interoffice at that level. And then we took it up until 2014,
right,
where we decided that we wanted something bigger. And we went into the basketball semi-professional level, where we created the Belize Hurricanes. We are also owners of the Belize Hurricanes.
Yes, I know.
And so we took a step back from the Interoffice basketball from 2015 up until 2022, where Winder came back to myself and we spoke about it, and he had passed away because of COVID in 2020. And so if you notice, whenever we bring out a flyer, it's in the memory of the late Ian Mariano, because we are still promoting his legacy.
Yeah.
And so when we came back in 2022, we brought on Marlon Milton, who was also a part of the firm's Interoffice League. And so we brought all talents together to push the Interoffice Basketball League. And so when we did that in 2022, 2023, we saw where the firms, they came back. And one of the reasons why people are drawn to our competition is because we offer championship gold rings.
Right.
The winner of this tournament gets 15 championship gold rings.
Wow.
And these championship gold rings are designed in such a way where the sponsors on it, and players are coveted to try to win that championship gold ring. And so they look forward to try to win that coveted 15 championship gold ring. And so they play hard and they push and they try to get to that level of being the 2024 Interoffice basketball champion.
Wonderful.
Nice.
Well, gentlemen, as we wrap up this conversation, I know that it takes more than just three guys behind the scenes to pull off something as big as this over the years. Would you like to say thank you to anyone in particular or any businesses that may have supported this year's season?
Quite definitely. I would like to say thank you to the Design Depot, who is basically our corporate sponsor. We also like to give thanks to the Caribbean International Brewery, who is the beverage for the tournament as we go along. Also, the Angelos Press, they've come on board, they have supported us greatly, and so we want to say thank you to them. To Nando's, who have always been supportive of basketball in Belize. We also want to say a big thank you to the Cellular World, who are supporting the Allstar Classic. And thank you to Recinos, who's also going to be a part of the Skills Challenge. And of course to Dolphins Production, who is going to be the Dolphins Production All-Star Classic. So thank you to Dolphins Production. And of course, Channel 5. We also have Love FM, More FM, Creme, and Wave, who have also been supportive of promoting basketball in Belize. And so we are very appreciative of the media, who have always been there whenever we make that call, for them to see exactly what we're doing, where sports is concerned. Yeah. And so I'd like to say thank you to Channel 5 for having us as well.
Absolutely, always a pleasure. As I mentioned, it was because of you guys, among other teams, who made me have a new sense of appreciation for the sport. I finally understand some things that are taking place, guys, and I'm excited too. So
I hope to see you guys there.
Yes, so this is an invite to the public to join you guys at the Civic Center on Friday. Of course, the activities start as early as 7:30 or?
They open at 7, so 7:30.
Yes, and it finishes when it finishes.
Yes, we don't have any set time of the conclusion.
Yes, but it is a family event, so come on out, bring out your kids as well. Are there tickets that are available for purchase?
Tickets will be available at the Civic Center at the time of the event.
Yeah.
It's not like a BBL game where you need to wait in long lines. So the time of the event is going to be there. The prices for the ticket, we have the window, you can give the prices.
For the kids, basically we have it for $5. High school kids is $8. And of course, adults is $10.
You can sit where you want.
You can sit wherever you want.
Yeah, everybody sits.
So come early and get
First
your,
come, first
your
serve.
own VIP
Yeah.
seats.
Yeah.
All right, gentlemen, well, thank you so much for joining us, and we wish you guys all the best.
Thank you.
All right, and we are just about done with our show, so we want to say thank you guys so much for tuning in with us this morning. It is September 25th, and we have a birthday shout out, Isani. We want to say happy birthday to our very own Mrs. Sheena Gentle. Happy birthday to you, Sheena, of course, from your Channel 5 family, but also your friends and family as well. We hope you have a fantastic day. And for anyone else who is celebrating a birthday today, happy birthday to you guys as well. If you'd like to give a birthday shout out, or if you have any questions, comments, or concerns, you can send us an email at oie@channel5belize.com. You can also catch us on Facebook at Open Your Eyes BZ, as well as Instagram for behind-the-scenes contents at OIE Belize. Thank you so much for joining us, and please do us a favor and join us again tomorrow when you open your eyes.
Start your morning right.
Until then, keep your eyes, your mind,
and your hearts open.
Have a wonderful Wednesday.
Was brought to you by Smart, bringing people together, and the Belize Bank, our country, your bank.